My name's Joe Markley. I'm the state senator here in Southington. Folks, that is as nice a response as I've gotten. I appreciate it very much. I'm flattered, and let me introduce my friend Rob Sampson from Wolcott, state representative. Al Adinolfi, the state representative from Cheshire. And Dave Zoney, state representative from Southington. You folks know that all four of us voted against the gun bill that passed a couple of weeks ago. And here's what I want to say about this event tonight. Our main purpose in this is to answer specific questions that you might have about the legal impact of the gun law. So what I'd like to do, I've got to ask Rob to say a few words, but what I want to do is deal with those questions first. And we've got a good friend and an excellent legal counselor, Mike Cronin from the Senate Republicans, who will be able to answer these if anyone can. And anything that we can't answer, we'll find out what we need to find out about. I'll say one word about the bill, which is simply to say that as a process, it was a disgrace to the legislature. I feel that it was misbegotten to begin with, and in the course of its creation, it didn't get any better. And in the end, to pass it both without having a further public hearing, which had been a great object of mine throughout it, to make sure that whatever came out in the end, people had one more chance to speak to that directly. There was no excuse not to do that. After you go through a process over a course of months and negotiations that went on for weeks and weeks, not to give the public, not to take the day or two extra that it would have taken to bring the public to look at it is to mine was shameful. But not to dwell on that, let me let Representative Sampson say a few words.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for coming out and joining us tonight. I'm going to be very brief because we want to make sure that we get to as many questions as we possibly can this evening.
Can't hear you in the hallway. The mic's not on.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't think I have any amplification, but I'll try and speak up as much as possible. As Joe said, our goal tonight really is not to talk about the politics of this thing. Of course, it's going to come up, and I understand that completely. But our goal really is to concentrate on the nuts and bolts of what the bill says, because I'm sure that there are many, many questions in the audience. I have some questions myself. We have tonight with us, we have an attorney from Senate Republicans. His name's Mike Cronin. He's with us to help out as much as possible. I'm not sure that Mike's going to have all the answers to the questions either, but what we cannot answer, we will do our best to collect and hopefully get back to people on. And the last thing I want to say is that more than anything right now, my commitment is to make sure that despite the fact that I do not like this legislation in any way, shape, or form, I'm very upset that it passed. My goal is to make sure that what was said about what is supposed to be in the bill is the way that it is implemented. And I have some concerns that has not been the case so far, and it is my goal to make sure that happens going forward. And like I said, I don't want to talk too much, so I'm going to give it to Al. Here we go.
Thank you. This ain't on. What are we holding?
TV.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say a couple of things. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. One of the things you have right here is four of us, and I could say that it was a bipartisan no on the bill. And So I wanted to mention that. There were a couple of things that came up the day the bill came up. They put 4 bills in one. They put the early release program in. They put mental health. They put school security and the weapons. We put in an amendment to divide those bills into 4, which would have made more sense because we had amendments ready and recommendations ready to make changes to each bill, even the gun bill, to make it better. But you couldn't get the support because people were more interested in the other areas. And guess what? When the amendment went in to divide the bill, which was absolutely legal, and we took a roll call vote on it, it was a straight party line vote. All on one side was red, and the other side was green. So I don't want to have to tell you what the other side. And that really disappointed me because it made it very difficult for us to concentrate on the issues. It just wasn't fair, and I think it was set up that way to go that way. And we can go on. The idea, if you read today's papers, I forget which one, but there was an article in that even the state that manufactured this bill says they won't be able to answer questions till sometime late in June, similar to the questions. And these are the people that created the bill. So with that, let me turn this over to our state rep.
Thank you. I just want to say it's an honor for me to be here tonight. It's good to see all you folks here, and I want to thank my fellow colleagues for arranging this, and I look forward to listening to the questions, and I hope all your answers come to fruition and get answered, and I'll turn it over back to Joe. Thank you, Joe.
And before we get started with the questions, let me say, if the people stuck in the hall, if you wanted to come in and, there's a couple of seats and there's some space back here. If there's anybody that's so out in the ether that he can't hear it at all, why don't he come on through and fill that in? Or, yeah, there's room behind us here. So I don't mind. I'll trust you guys behind me. Okay. Now, for the purpose of the questions, you got my front, they got my back. Hey, for the purpose of the questions, I've got Mike Cronin. So let me throw it open to you. Raise your hands, and we will do our best to take them. And we'll start out with, in the pole position, Lenny Benedetto. Lenny?
Thank you, Joe. We've been getting a lot. I'm the vice president of CCDL. That some of you folks know. And if you're here and you're not a member, you need to be. Speak to anybody who just applauded that knows who I am. They'll tell you how to become a member, and it's free. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to turn that into a commercial for CCDL. We've been getting a lot of questions, and I have one myself. One of my carry guns is a Glock 21. Comes with a 13-round magazine. I understand the one in the gun can hold 10 rounds. Can't put 13 in there. Can I have one in the pipe, and can I carry my 2 spare magazines with only 10 in them?
You have one in the gun.
Well, you need it for the TV, Mike.
I don't need to be on TV. I'm not a politician. You can have 11 or 10 in the magazine, 1 in the gun. You can carry spare magazines, but you can't carry the oversized ones. The way it's written now is if it's a 13-round clip, you can only...
It's a 13-round magazine, and that's the magazine that's made for the gun, though. So that means that I can carry my Glock 21 13-round magazine in the gun with 10 rounds, 1 in the pipe, and I've got to leave my spare magazines at home if I'm carrying the gun for protection.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you had a 10-round magazine, that's...
But a Glock doesn't make a 10-round magazine.
Understood. I'm just saying, for anybody else who may ask that question.
We should use it.
Yeah. Mike, before we get any further, I just want to clarify. You said that it was all right to have 10 in the magazine and 1 round
in the gun.
Okay, so you can actually have... all right, okay.
So you can have 11.
Just want to make sure of that, because that's a question I've heard many, many times.
10 is specific to the magazine.
Yeah. I run it, you run it, whatever you want to. Okay, Bob.
My name is Bob Blue. I grew up here in Southington. Retired New Britain police sergeant, and also we carried the Glock. We had the 40 calibers, what we first ended with. Prior to that, we had the 9mm, the Glock 17. One of the things I'm concerned with is wording, and nobody's seen the actual bill. And when a wording says, is that Glock capable of firing more than 10 rounds? Yes. My 9mm, my Glock 17, will hold a 10-round magazine. The duty magazine was a 17-round, and it'll also hold a 32-round. They're interchangeable. What happens with wording like that?
This just deals with the magazine. First of all, when you're carrying it, you can't carry the 30 because that's going to stick out of the bottom. You can carry whatever's going to fit into the gun as long as you carry it with 10 in that magazine.
Okay, so there's
even for
wording,
retired police.
No wording with the pistol itself.
No, unless it's on the list.
The capability of the pistol.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Any gun that takes a detachable magazine is going to be capable of firing 10.
Yeah.
I got a follow-up to that one, too.
Okay.
I don't know. For some reason, I have a lot of follow-up questions. So, Mike, another question I keep hearing from folks is about any part that extends below the grip of the handgun. Like there's a butt plate, and depending on how much it sticks up, no round would be in that part. But
Right. The intent was that would be fine. The intent of the bill when it was being negotiated and drafted was for that 30-round clip that's going to stick out the bottom of the gun. So that's what they were trying to get at. The state police have interpreted it a little bit differently, so that's why they can't answer the question till June. We're trying to get to some fair compromise here. But the intent was not to have a 30-round clip sticking out of the bottom of your pistol grip, but whatever fit in there comfortably. And a lot of the guns will have, the bottom of the grip is included in the magazine. So when it's a smaller handgun, it puts it in. That's perfectly legal as well.
okay, thank you.
Do you want to take
Good
it
answer.
over to the next?
No.
Okay.
Hi, I'm John Tunis from Rocky Hill. Got a question. I've got an AR-15. I have several 30-round magazines. What I used to do in the past is load them all up at home, bring them to the range, fire them there. Now, I understand I won't be able to do that anymore because I'll be transporting magazines that are fully loaded. Can't do that, right?
You can transport the magazines fully loaded just like you would your AR-15 if you were transporting your AR-15.
To the range.
To the range. You can use the 30-round mags at the range, and you can fill them up at home, too.
Right, but nothing in the bill. I saw it says transporting.
You can transport the magazines. I believe it says in the bill, transport the magazines like you would.
Fully loaded.
Yes, but not in the gun.
Not in the gun. True. Right. Kept separately and everything else.
Putting that assault weapon, put the magazines.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question regarding AR-15s. I first got mine, I think, in 2010. That's when I started getting my permits and my guns. I don't know how familiar you are with AR-15s, but it's a post ban. In Connecticut, we had pre-bans. I think if they were built before '93, they could have all the evil features like adjustable stocks and this and that.
Right, and you registered it then.
Correct. I don't have a pre-ban. I have a post-ban. But now that gun is essentially, you have to register it because it's, I guess, you may even call it a pre-ban now because it doesn't fit the new law, the features that it has now. Currently, my gun under the old state law, for instance, I couldn't have an adjustable stock. With today's law, now that I need to register it, can I put an adjustable stock on it? No.
The way the law is written is you're legally in possession of the gun.
Right.
Then you apply for a certificate of possession. If you now put on the added features,
Right.
those bad features,
Right.
it wouldn't be legal under the current law, therefore it wouldn't be a legally owned gun that you could take down and get the certificate of possession.
I understand. Okay. Thank you.
If you have one with one element, it's got to stay with one element.
Hi, I have a two-part question. I understand that we've passed the law and then now we proceed to the registration of both the guns and the magazines. What oversight or what controls are there? Because you can do a lot of mischief in the registration because you've basically now turned it over. I guess it's public safety or the state police. It's what controls are there on how much mischief they can do in the registration requirement? And here's an example of what I'm talking about. Under the new law, you can keep any high-capacity magazines that you owned on April 4th. However, I've had high-cap magazines that I bought 20 years ago. There's no way I can show when I purchased them. I keep hearing rumors that you're going to have to either show receipts or some other proof of time of purchase. If I have to do that, there's no way I can.
Right.
So what?
Nobody can. Nobody saved their receipt from 20 years ago. That's something that needs to be worked out before the registration date comes. It was never the intent to have you come in with all the paperwork for your magazine.
That wasn't the intent.
It's simply, correct, that wasn't the intent.
Right.
It's simply a declaration. It's, I have this many, and you sign.
So you're not hearing that over there in the bowels of public
Again,
safety?
The state police, they're not going to have the answers until June. They're trying to sift through this. They didn't see the bill until the day it was passed either, and they really weren't consulted. So they were trying to get up to speed, but we will be dealing with them and telling them what the intent was. So we're not going to
Thank you.
receipts.
Excuse me, can I jump in before we get too far away from the transportation of magazines to and from the range? Let's take a look at that there.
Right.
Okay, now,
Got to get to the range.
and now, if we are pulled over going to the range, how is an officer to know we are truly going to the range? How is that certain? Loaded or no we know that. That's the point of the question. Everybody lives at the range, secondary address,
Tom Crosby, yeah, I'm.
You can only have 10 when you transport.
But you can load it all capacity when you get to the range.
Yes. 10 when you're transporting your 30, and then fully loaded once you get to the range.
Okay.
I had a question. I'm Tom Crosby from Guilford. Prior, could you walk us through the consequences? Let's say you have an AR, you haven't registered, you let January 1 pass, you have some magazines at home, you've let the date pass, you haven't registered. What are the risks involved? Can someone come into your house? They need probable cause to come into your house to search your house to find a magazine or to find an AR. How about is it essentially the transportation from your house to the range? Is that the risk, or is it? Can you maintain these at your office or at the? Right. Let's say you have. Right. Let's say you have all of those. Well, you're a misdemeanor the first time. So. Okay, but let's say the first time let's say you have your gun at your range, and you keep it there in a locker. What's the chance? I guess that's like keeping it at your house.
If you don't get the certificate of possession for the gun, and you're caught with it, you're illegally in possession of that gun, and all the consequences that will flow from there. Can't tell you what the police are going to do, but
So you're creating criminals.
Register the gun. Go get the certificate of possession.
Okay, next question. Here it is.
I had a question regarding the high cap magazines and the registration process. Is this something that they're going to put registration numbers, or I mean, how are they going to go about?
No, it's a simple declaration of I have 10, 30 round magazines.
So I have one. Yeah. I have one.
Well, everybody else.
Well, what keeps somebody from saying they have 30 of them and then going and getting? I mean,
Nothing.
You have one.
But when you then go to get them, you're crossing the state line and and that's it.
Mike, from what I understand, there was a form that was online.
I have a question.
Which is now gone.
But they took it off.
Yes.
And you don't expect that form to come back?
No.
Purpose of this felon.
I have a question regarding rimfire rifles, 22 caliber rifles built on the AR-15 platform. In this literature, I see that the question is is if I own a 22 caliber rifle, do I need to register it? The answer says no. No 22s are banned and do not need to be registered, even if the gun has military characteristics such as a pistol grip.
It is a rimfire 22.
It is a rimfire.
Then it would not be banned. It would
Okay.
not need to be registered.
Now,
If there's a centerfire 22.
No such thing.
No such thing?
No such thing.
my question, where I'd like some clarification, is that there are rimfire 22 rifles built on the AR receiver.
But they're not a centerfire gun.
That is
It
true.
only impacts centerfire.
Okay.
semi-automatic.
So as long as the rifle has an upper for rimfire cartridges only, it does not have to be registered. Thank you very much.
Say the lower can be built both ways.
The Chiapa 22 is listed in there by name, and that's one of my questions. Why? Why the Chiapa?
Honestly, I didn't come up with this today. I don't know why they included it.
I don't think
Because
everybody
everyone
has.
else is saying that the 22 is exempt, but that
No, yeah, because they have listed it in the Harper Current too, and even made some pistols, regular, semi-automatic pistols. It said those were banned, it was in the Harper Current. That they were still.
Go next, melt it out. Okay, let's take another question back here.
Just what I'm
As loudly as you
ascertaining from all the questions that are being asked is this bill is so confusing, should never have been passed, needs to be looked at again, and needs to be repealed, revoked, and how difficult is that going to be to accomplish?
I will leave that for the political section of the conversation, okay? We'll just I want to get through all the mechanical questions with Mike, and then we'll let him off the hook. Yeah.
First of all, thank you, gentlemen, for calling this conference. And my question is not one of a technical type question, but could we be helping our own cause by, and I'm assuming there's a lot of people here from different gun clubs in the area, that if every gun club had a representative and we formed our own lobby, because I don't believe this thing is going away, it's only the beginning, and maybe it's start that we take care of our own business here.
That's the political question. Hey, good question. Good question. We have already started our own lobby, and Lenny Benedetto already talked about it, in my opinion. So I feel like we have an organization for these purposes.
I think this is an easy one. My pre-ban was registered for the first fiasco. Do I have to register it again?
We don't know. The assumption was no, that it would just be the new ones that are going to be registered, but again, it's the state police and how they're going to interpret this law, and they may require everybody to go through the process one more time. Even though it's such I believe the statute is clear and say it's illegally owned gun, so you have to be registered the first time. Yes. But therefore now, it's legally owned and you need to be registered. So
Okay.
it's how they're going to interpret it.
Next question back here.
I'd like to start by saying I'm very proud to be from Wolcott after hearing that you voted this bill down. And I have a huge question involving the mags yet again. Mags currently don't have any sort of serial number, and this goes back to the proof of purchase and everything. What if somebody breaks into my house and steals my magazine? It's now an illegal magazine. Now how can it get traced back to me or traced back to them, just as if it was a gun?
It won't be traced back to you. When they report it stolen, it's the person who stole it. If they had never registered one at the deadline and they're caught with it, they're an illegal possession.
Well, if I want to keep my 30-round mag, I can't go out and buy another one to replace it.
No, you're right.
Now, how do I get that back? Because it can't be tracked through a serial number.
You probably don't.
Out of state.
Let me head over to these guys before they feel too left out.
In 1980, I bought an assault rifle, a pre-ban, and I have a certificate from the Committee of Public Safety with a number and fingerprinted, and I have the certificate with me. Do I have to re-register it with with the certificate that I already have?
It was a question that was just asked, and we don't know. It's up to the state police at this point if they're going to require you to re-register. Because right now, it's any legal assault weapon has to be registered.
But they don't say re-register, right? If it already is, it legally has to be registered.
But it's not going to be unless it's clarified.
You don't have assault weapons, yes. Order rifles.
I'm sorry, I'm using
assault rifles.
Right.
Hey, don't blame Mike. He's a lawyer. He's the most blameless man in the room. He didn't vote for it. He didn't vote against it. He's just here because he could read legislation better than anybody I know. So that's why we brought him here tonight. He's doing his best job. And if we need to have further discussion on this after the state police come back with the answers in June, we can do that too. So go ahead.
About a week before they signed the bill, I had my AR in Newington Gun Exchange on consignment. And then the day they signed the bill, the next day I went there and asked, can I have it back now because you can't sell it? And they said, no, you can't have it, and we own it now. And I said, can I have a store credit? They said, no, sorry, nothing we can do about it. It's stuck. In other words, it's just dead in the law right now. What am I going to do? I mean,
they didn't contemplate that when they wrote this.
Yeah.
So you're not the only person that's had to do this. A lot of people who put these guns out, farm them, and it's whoever had them at the date the bill was signed, which in this case is the store. So that's something that's going to need to be addressed. But as it stands right now,
I got a question. Can't gun stores sell it out of state, online through gun broker or whatever?
Shouldn't I have the option to be able to grandfather because I was the owner of it?
but you weren't in possession of it.
So that means I've lost my right there?
Well, right now, yes, but it's something that came up after the fact. It wasn't contemplated, so we're try to see what we can.
All right. First off, gentlemen, I want to say thank you for having the integrity, the courage, and the intelligence for voting no on this bill. I greatly appreciate it. I have a few questions, so cut me off whenever you want. I don't want to monopolize this. Machine guns are registered every year already with the Connecticut State Police.
This doesn't impact machine guns at all.
Okay. Okay. On that note, you said it doesn't impact machine guns at all. The way I understand, the way I read the law, but I don't have a sheepskin on my wall like you do. Machine guns can now be retrofitted back to their original select fire configuration, as opposed to fully automatic only the way it was. Is that correct or incorrect?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
The sheepskin's not helping me there.
Okay. Can I go again?
Yes,
all right.
keep going.
You already answered this, but I couldn't hear your answer.
Okay.
Before, as you know, we had basically two genres. We had pre-ban and post-ban. Now are what we were considered post-ban rifles now considered pre-ban rifles again? Or do we have pre-ban, pre-ban, and post-ban? What do we have?
I don't know what they're going to call it.
You don't know either.
Okay.
So I get to go because I didn't catch that one yet, right? I get to go again. Okay.
We're not trying to stump me.
I don't understand this law. I'm expected to abide with it. I understand. Again, magazines. Let's talk about the Glock. Glock 19, 15-round mag. Glock 17, 17-round mag. But they made, from the federal assault weapon ban, 10-round magazines for them. The Glock 17 10-round magazine will fit in the Glock 19, but it will stick out. But it's incapable of holding an 11th round. Is it legal or illegal? It's a fixed 10-round magazine.
It's not a large capacity magazine on the definition, and it could stick out.
So it could be extended. It could stick out. So the same logic would hold true for bumper pads, finger extensions, etc. As long as the magazine is incapable of holding more than 10 rounds, it can extend past the butt of the gun. Okay, that helps. Do you want me to quit?
One more. Those are good ones.
choose wisely. Let me see. Here's another one. There's a caveat written into the law about a 90-day time window for non-residents to dispose of their firearms if they, because of the new law. Yeah. So, I have property in Maine. My legal residence in Maine, I live there six months and 1 day a year. So I'm a legal resident of Maine. I can bring my Connecticut contraband rifle into Connecticut, enjoy it for 3 months, and then bring it back to Maine with me. I've disposed of it, because they don't tell you how, and now turn around in my car and come back again. And I can keep playing that game. So non-residents have more rights than residents. Is that true? Throw this thing out, void for vagueness or whatever. So what are our chances of throwing this thing?
We'll get to the political question. Let me keep going with the technical question. Well, let's get this guy.
I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who, I don't know if he's a private dealer or not, but basically the question I have is the old Connecticut law, the way it was, is that a permit holder can sell to another permit holder with no paperwork. Yesterday that he said that that's still in effect until next year, 2014. Is that still true? So if you have a permit and I have a permit, you can sell me an AR or any other type? Okay, that's what he said he could. That's why.
You can't transfer an AR
at all. Okay, thank you.
Ready?
Hi, Michael. Thank you for the constructive possession definition. In Section 33, it outlines where and when a police force or law enforcement department can issue a warrant under what circumstances. They list recent threats or acts of violence, animal cruelty, etc. 33, Michael. Past A and B. D. Well, I'm good with that, but here's the question. D reads, the illegal use of controlled substances, which is already current statute, or abuse of alcohol by such person.
which is also current statute.
Abuse of alcohol is current statute?
Yes. In that section, only the underlying items are the added new items.
Well, this one's not underlined. Who's determining the abuse of alcohol? Is this on the scene in a domestic violence? Okay, thank you.
That's just to show that even the existing laws.
But the existing, that is existing.
Yeah.
You get a point.
If you could, for the crowd, the constructive possession, that would be great.
Okay.
It's fun around.
All right. The constructive possession is if you had ordered and paid for a gun or a gun that came with a large capacity magazine by April 4th, when it's delivered, you can get it. Okay? That's the constructive possession that they put in. They didn't want to.
There's a gun shop, they're not allowed.
Then the problem is the state police went out on April 4th and told gun shops that they couldn't transfer those guns or magazines. So a lot of things got sent back. Retailers didn't know. The state police didn't know.
So the state police is conveying something that's not factual.
They didn't understand the law. They went out.
So they don't understand the law, and they convey to FFLs, you can't do this. So they make it up as they go along.
What we heard on April 4th.
Okay, let me go back to another question.
Orders until the item is shipped. So that's one reason that I've heard a lot of orders have been canceled by retailers that are coming into the state, because while it may have been ordered before April 4th, if they had not shipped and been charged yet, then the money is
Even if it was on April 4th, they said that it's not okay. It can't be on that day.
Okay.
Yes, I appreciate all of you coming here tonight.
Wow.
I appreciate all of you coming here tonight. I have a few salt wafers. So you know we're going to have to rush them now. We're going to use a piece of paper to carry it, uncommit, fall in.
I don't believe so. It'll be a certificate of possession. I don't know.
We got to carry it up with us all the time.
It'll be in sheets see it hanging on the wall. Little ID.
I have a Connecticut assault weapon.
Only for your house,
I purchased
the range.
it before the original ban. I had to get my fingerprints and some of the people in this room as well. And that little piece of paper has to go with that gun wherever it goes. In case somebody ever questions me and says, is that a legal gun? So I've got to be able to show it to somebody.
Lenny, question for you, was that part of the federal assault weapons ban law?
That was
or
the
that was a
Connecticut
state?
assault weapon ban. Yes.
I own a house in South Carolina. I'm a resident of Connecticut. Can I transfer my firearms down here, or do I still have to register them?
Will you ever have them in Connecticut?
I won't have them again after this.
Then, no need.
Okay.
They're out of here by January 1st. But if you ever try to bring them back in,
No, I'm moving out.
Rob from Cheshire. I don't know if there's pre-existing law in this. Are you allowed to manufacture any of your own components, say a lower for an AR or a high-capacity mag?
He asked if you can manufacture your own components.
the only exemption for the parts, like the lower, is for a gun shop or a gunsmith. They can have the parts and piece it back together. So if your gun, if your AR needs repair, this doesn't let you do it yourself. You got to bring it in and have it done. You can't buy or you can't make your own large capacity magazines. And if they ever wear out, you can bring them to get them fixed. But again, it's with a licensed gunsmith or a gun store.
Did you just say you can't buy the parts anymore after this?
The way the bill is written is the parts that can be assembled into an assault weapon need to be registered and would have had to been purchased.
The upper, the upper
It
receiver,
just says
the
the
barrel.
parts.
Yeah, they don't understand lowers and uppers.
There's no
What about bench stock? People already have the parts.
If you have parts now, register them.
Can't register a part.
Well, I'm not saying we won't protect you. We'll see what the state police come up with.
Okay, that remains to be determined. Yeah, stand up and say it.
Everyone that shoots competitively has spare parts, a spare firing pin, spare springs. You mean to tell me we can't have these parts anymore?
Parts that are...
How do you differentiate mortar barrels?
No, it's new. All right, the way they do parts, or any combination of parts of an assault weapon that are not assembled as an assault weapon when in the possession of a licensed gun dealer or gunsmith who is a licensed gun dealer employed for the purposes of servicing or repairing lawfully possessed assault weapons under this act. That's what they allow. Okay, so the parts piece is only for the gunsmith and only for the gun shop.
Let me strike out here into the middle again.
Hi, Larry Burns, Cheshire. I have a different kind of question. Probably like a lot of people here, I reload for the 5.56, and the question's about armor-piercing ammo. The way I read it is that if it was .22 caliber or less, it's okay to have. What I do is, like probably a lot of people do for the 5.56, it's cheaper to buy military surplus, fire them, form it to the chamber, and then make a good bullet out of it. So that's my question. It looked like .22 caliber ammo, which a 5.56 is not considered armor piercing, even though that's what its design is.
It won't pierce the titanium plate.
Honestly, I don't know the answer.
That's not really armor.
You know, because I have a bunch of it, and rather than disassemble it, it was pretty extensive and confusing.
The SS-109 projectile that has the little green tip. The green tip.
The green tip, the 8.55.
The ATF Technical Bureau has issued their
advisory that that is not considered armor piercing.
There's also not a assault ban in the federal level. What about Connecticut? What about this one?
Refers to federal definitions.
It's not an assault.
So the ammo is okay. I can take it to the
ATF
range.
says the ammo is okay. That's what the definition here was based on the federal definition of armor piercing.
Thank you.
I'll save my accolades for the political side so Joe doesn't take the mic away.
Thank you.
My question is, I've got 12-round magazines in apparently I'm the only one with Springfield, not Glock, but the 12-round magazines I'm going to get rid of and get 10-round magazines. The problem I have, or the concern I have, is somewhere in some database there's a list that says this guy bought a gun that came with originally 12-round magazines. How, is that going to be looked at? Is that going to be seen as saying, hey, this guy didn't register, let's go find out what's going on?
Honestly, I don't know if they're going to look and cross-check that. That's a lot of paperwork, so. You could also go and turn them into the police. You say, here's, I have 5 12s, and there you go, I don't want them.
I just have one quick question for you, Joe, or for Mike, whichever. In regards to the privacy of these names, which might be utilized when a person goes to get registered for either a high-capacity magazine or for an AR, whatever, assault rifle, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, at one point in time, they were talking about possibly making public the name of the handgun permit owners in the state of Connecticut, which I don't think ever went through. However, what's to say that the names of all those people that have registered high-capacity magazines or assault rifles don't get publicized, number one, and number two, at some point in time down the road, I'm saying, maybe not right away, but that could WikiLeak or something like that, and then it ends up that all, the criminals in the state of Connecticut are coming, pounding on our doors, looking for whatever they can steal from our homes.
Let me tell you, your doors are the last doors I would pound on.
Like you said, these registries and lists are going to be exempt from FOI, but like you said, going forward,
Who knows what could happen?
I can't answer that.
I questioned that on the floor of the House, and the answer was that this legislation is free of the Freedom of Information Act. I know in New York, in Westchester County, that they had, if you looked at a map, you saw little red pins showing everybody that had a weapon, and I think the same day they did it, 2 homes were burglarized and the weapons were taken. So that is one thing we looked at, and we have to watch it. Even though it says it in the bill, I personally don't believe it's going to happen.
There's more people have their hands up now than when we started. Go ahead.
Thank you. A number of questions. As I read this regarding armor-piercing ammunition, the definition armor-piercing bullet means any 50 caliber bullet, then talk about 80 incendiary, or any bullet that can be fired from a pistol or revolver. To my mind, this totally excludes any rifle ammunition that is not used in a pistol, such as .30-06, black tip, 8, etc.
That already accounts for the federal.
Fair enough. That's just a common question we get at the gun store. That's my interpretation. Do you think I'm incorrect? That's the definition. So it's common person means such. That only refers to pistol or
Or
revolver.
is fully jacketed with a jacket weight of more than 25% of the total weight of the projectile. Is larger than 22 calibers, designed and intended for use in a firearm. So that gets you out of the pistol.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because of the or.
It's It's not written very well.
Okay. With regard to term on the second stage. Yeah, thank you. Talks about no person, firm, corporation, da-da-da-da. Talks about transferring or selling at retail. Could you please tell us what at retail means?
At a store.
So does that therefore exclude if I sell it to my buddy because it's not at retail?
Right. This is current law.
Right.
It took out deliver at retail.
Well,
So it's now no person, firm, or corporation may sell, deliver, or otherwise transfer.
at retail. They added
There you
that.
go. This is all done. Goes to the background check.
Right, but it specifically
You're
says at
selling
retail.
to, but you're going to have to get a background check, so you're selling to your buddy. Your buddy's going to have to get a background check.
Even though it says at retail.
That's, universal background check is now, that's the only thing that wasn't getting background checks with private-to-private sales.
Okay, further down it talks about the transferee signing, filling a form out, triplicate, et cetera, and sending it to the state police. Does that include if I sell a long gun to a gun shop?
The gun shop would fill out.
Well, it says the transfer.
You would be the transferor, the person getting the gun would be the transferee. So if you sold it to the gun shop, it's up to the gun shop to now.
Very transferee shall sign. Does that mean the gun shop would then sign it and send it in?
Yeah, if you're selling it to them,
Long gun,
getting it.
at this point in time, it used to always be for handguns. Now, you interpret it also for long guns immediately. Okay, the definition of ammunition makes no sense. It says ammunition means a loaded cartridge consisting of a prime case, propellant, or projectile. Obviously, it should say and projectile. It says or projectile. Okay. It uses that definition in 2 or 3 other places. Is that going to be corrected, or? See, this could be misinterpreted. Freeloaders can order.
Hopefully it's going to be corrected. There's a lot of shortcomings, errors, a lot of things that have come to light, from people like you telling us what went wrong. And the intent is to go in and try to fix as many of these as we can. I can't tell you when, I can't tell that it'll definitely happen, but we don't.
Last question. So that's why we're here, folks. I mean, it's a combination of reasons why we're here. Partially is because we want to know what the issues are, and we can go back and make sure that they're corrected, and that the law rather, is implemented in the way that it was described.
Last question on 22 rimfire. You seem to imply that if it was a 22 rimfire, nothing is not covered by any of the parts of this law.
Unless it has a magazine that's larger than 10. That would be the only impact on a residential group.
On a 10, like Ruger 1022 with 25 round clip, it's not a real.
No. The gun itself. You're talking a rimfire 22. There's no impact on this. You don't have to register that.
But you do the magazine.
You have to register
The magazine.
If it's one of the specifically
We're talking about right
enumerated guns.
You said pistol.
We're talking rimfire.
Rimfire pistol.
If it's one of the enumerated guns on the list, then you're stopped. But the intent was the description does not apply to rimfire 22.
If it has a threaded barrel, 22 rimfire, semi-automatic with a threaded barrel, is it an assault weapon or not?
According to this bill, yes. Like, I think it's very specific to 22 applies to rifles and not handguns. You can still have a handgun that's rimfire.
I'm talking small guns, so my bad.
Okay, that's
On ammo, they're saying now, to purchase ammo, when this goes through, you're gonna need either your gun permit, and if you don't have that, you need to get some type of certificate, right?
Ammunition eligibility certificate.
Right, but if you have your permit, okay, you're fine, no question asked. Now, what if you make your own at home?
As we just fleshed out, it may be that to get the pieces, you're going to need a certificate.
Okay, but if you have the equipment already and you save your own shells, you're okay, no?
Fine, until such time as you go buy something. It's not for the possession of the ammunition.
I'm not admitting to having anything. So let's just pretend that I do. What happens if I drop dead tomorrow? Can my son, will he be able to get my stuff then, or is some cop going to come knocking on the door and confiscate?
If he is eligible to get that, then he gets it. You can leave these things to your heirs when you pass. But let's say your son and I don't. Hopefully you don't even have some. Let's say he's a convicted felon or he's 16 years old, then he would not be eligible to get the gun, therefore he couldn't get it.
Can't go on trust.
Yeah, yeah. Would it be able to go into trust?
You think there's someone that can hold them?
What if your son's
Joe.
18?
Got to follow up on that.
If he could go out and buy the gun himself,
It's got to be 21
Got to be 21 now.
And you have a permit. And have a permit.
Let's try one over here. This sort of hinges.
You can leave them probably to somebody else, though. You can leave it in trust probably to someone, the family.
Okay, let's have this question here. I'm curious. I've been pondering this. This kind of hinges off this for some time, seeing as I have so many beautiful heirlooms, and I want to turn them over to my children and my wife. Similarly, there is such a thing as a firearms trust. As long as there is a legal pistol permit holders, the way they used to work. And I don't know if any of this was considered in this new law. So does that mean any trust? There are such things that exist, legal trust. Does it mean that?
you might be able to get into the trust, but I don't know that the trust could then transfer it to anyone else.
In essence, transferring it to the trustees of that trust. Similar to the way you do an estate, it's just like a will.
It wasn't contemplated when they did this.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're talking about someone. It's not necessarily trust. It's that they can't transfer it until they die. So once you get it into a trust, I'm not going to come out of that trust.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, Joel Laporte from Southington. Seeing as how we have a busway to build, I'm wondering what the tax is going to be on these registrations. Oh, so the fee has been announced. Okay. Now another.
Per gun?
One time or yearly?
Yeah, what is
All right,
that?
every 5 years.
Okay.
That is for the
every
assault
gun?
They don't know what the fee is going to be for the assault.
It says per. So that's what? That's the magazine?
No. There's no cost to declare your magazines. You have to go out and get a new, let's say, an ammunition permit. That's going to be $35.
So every 5 years you're going to get a permit, you're leaving out.
Well, no, if you have a permit, you don't need the other permit.
What about for your guns and registration? All that? You don't need anything if you have your permit.
Just for every 5 years.
But every 5 years, it's $35 per weapon.
Per weapon? Per item.
No. Okay.
I guess the second and last question, I'll turn it over, is you mentioned constructive possession. Now, it's my understanding, like the gentleman back there mentioned, if you have an AR-15, which can shoot .22 long rifle, you do not need to register it. If I convert a rifle to .22 long rifle, but I retain the upper that shoots .556 caliber, do I need to register it? Yes. Then how do I handle registering an AR-15 lower in that case, considering I don't know what caliber it is? It's transferred to me as an other, not as a rifle.
Depends on what the state police come up with on their form.
Good and loud. Yeah. I got a question on the 22 threaded barrels. Say if I got a pistol with a thread adapter, is that considered still a threaded barrel? Now, some of you guys have Walters here. I have a 22 suppressor, and if you have
no on that one.
A threaded adapter and not the actual barrel, is that still considered registerable? Pistol. Well, actually, both.
It's not on there?
No.
Well, the thread is it's an adapter that stays on the
And
gun.
then it's the thread.
Yeah, and
that goes
you can come off. Yes.
The bill didn't contemplate this.
Okay.
My guess is if it's not on there, if the barrel's not threaded, then you're good.
So if I do have a threaded barrel, then I do have to register that gun.
The way that Walters assembled was it has a sleeve and it does not come with the adapter. The nut on the end is how it's made. The barrel goes in from the back. They said no.
But I also have a Ruger 1022 and a Browning Buckmark with a threaded barrel on it as well.
SR22 is the on the list, and so is a pack light.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
They're making currently a non-pistol grip stock for the AR-15. So does that take it out of the assault weapon category? It's being made right now.
That would be legal under this law.
It would not be an assault weapon. No pistol grip.
There's no grenade launcher.
Yeah, so that would have to be registered as an assault weapon with a non-pistol grip.
It would be legal for sale in this state and would not need to be.
How about if it's
named?
Yeah, but it's named.
The named ones, then yes. Yes.
Wilson Combat is not named. Wilson Combat's not named in the list. Also, on the high-capacity magazines, 458 SOCOM, 50 Bowu, 450 Bushmaster are all 9-round and a 30-round standard AR mag. And the 20s are only 5-round. Those aren't high capacity. Same mag.
Are they capable of holding 30? It's what they're capable of holding.
It's only capable of 9 458s.
But if you loaded something else in there, would it take 30?
If I got a 458,
If you have a 223,
If you have a 223, it'll take 30.
so if I have to have a short one, I can only hold 1 round. So now I can't have a mag for the gun.
You can have, if you have the mag now, you have it.
Other thing is, on the parts, I could build that AR into a bolt action gun. How come I can't have the parts? Same receiver, same parts, same bolt. It's just a different bolt cut, same barrel. Now it's a bolt action with a 10-round mag. That.
Maybe you should have a cheat.
All right, I have 2 more quick questions. Number one, I know you briefly touched on it about the parts, but I purchased. I have some lowers that I never finished building. I was in the process. I had, like building these things. So what can I do? I mean, am I not able to finish this? It's registered that when I purchased them, they called Department of Public Safety. They have all that information. What can you do with that?
When they come up with the form, hopefully they contemplate this at state police to be able to register that.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll be able to get the parts delivered to you or sold to you.
Well, no, I don't mind going to the gunsmith or going to the gun shop and doing that, but that registered number is in my name before the date of that transfer.
That should be contemplated by the state police, and they should allow you to register anything with a serial number on it.
Okay, now the other question too is if you had a 30-round mag and you pinned it so that it can only have the capacity of going to 10 rounds, is that legal? I mean,
you're talking a handgun now?
No, on a rifle, long gun, if you have a 30-round magazine for, say, an AR-15, if you pinned it so that the plate can only go down so far and will only take 10 rounds, is that legal? And then, in other words, not legal, but do you have to register it?
Yes, because it is. Yes. It's capable. If you take the pin out, it's capable of holding 30.
Question of the legislators about the legislative process. Representative Craig Minor questioned at length Representative Dargan, who's the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, for clarifications on vague language in the bill on, for about an hour on more than a dozen points. For example, one point that he questioned him on for at least 5 minutes and at least half a dozen times, maybe 7 times, was whether or not, for example, law enforcement and retired law enforcement has any rights off duty above those of citizens. Representative Dargan, at least half a dozen times, said they have no rights in excess of those of regular citizens. Now, the bill was debated on this basis. It was voted on this basis. These were the terms of all the votes that were cast. Other items like this were also addressed. When the Office of Legislative Research came out with their summary, and when I talked to several cops right after the bill passed, they all told me that this bill has no effect or influence on law enforcement and retired law enforcement, in complete contradiction to everything that was stated in the process. Why is that?
Thanks for stumping them.
I honestly don't know if there's a legitimate answer I could give you. I mean, the fact is that the language of the bill says that police officers and military are exempt, period. The conversation on the floor, the debate, you would think that that would have something going towards the legislative intent of the bill, but I don't think it trumps what's actually written in the language of the bill at the end of the day.
What's the point of the bill? What do you guys do there? You know, I mean, is that, you know, what's really going on?
We get outvoted.
Well, I mean, isn't that a problem? You know, isn't that just a fundamental process of government?
That's right.
You want to segue into that direction, Rob? Do you want to?
Well, I don't know. Well, our original intent tonight was to try and answer as many of the questions on the nuts and bolts of the bill as possible, and then have maybe take some political questions. When do we have the room till?
7:30.
Yeah, so we don't have a whole lot of time left. But I also don't want to skip anybody's very important questions about the details. A lot of you folks have had your hands up a couple of times, so we'll go to somebody new, and then maybe we'll take maybe 2 or 3 more questions on the language of the bill, and then we'll take some political questions. So this gentleman right here.
I have it's kind of a crossover question here as we segue into political ideas, but there's a lot of things in here that are spoken then later defined in the bill. One of my favorites is a forward, in the newer definition of the items of the assault weapon, is a forward pistol grip. And then, and that's all it says, is that any rifle has a forward pistol grip. But then you flip a few pages and it gets to the definition, and it's, if I can find it here, because this one is probably one of my favorite. Forward pistol grip means any feature capable of functioning as a grip that can be held by the non-trigger hand. Okay, so I'm going to guess everyone in here is a pistol shooter, so they've never shot a rifle, and they don't know that, you know, you grip, you hold a rifle with the stock. And that definition is like a catch-all. Now, I'm not, because that's what it says, like we did Tuesday. But you're saying that the state police now and the administration, you know, administrative wing of our government are going to decide how to enforce this and what it means.
This is one of the things we need to fix.
Right, but I'm just
be something that protrudes down, as in the other definition.
And if the state police, I mean, on the political side, if the state police come back with something, an interpretation so egregious that it just starts grabbing all semi-automatic rifles or something of that nature, what recourse do we have? I mean, legislatively, we can vote for you, vote against you, kind of come the next election. You know, and administratively, you know, in terms of state police, there are some things in here that could be later construed to be very gun-grabbing.
Right, they're a lot broader than your intent was. And that's one of the items on our list to fix, to clarify that.
How many, let me just see, how many people have the specific gun-related questions left? Put all your hands up and let me see how we have any chance to get to you all. I would say no. Listen,
Unless you can extend the time.
well, and you know, I don't know, actually know okay, I don't think we can either. I think we got something coming in at 8 o'clock we got to clear out. Here's what I would suggest. I don't know if all of you, we actually ran out of my materials too, but you can send me an email I have a fairly simple state address, joe.markley. We still got them there. Okay, with my email address at cga.ct.gov. If you have any further specific questions that you want to send on to me, I'll make sure that they get to Mike, and we'll give you the...
My email's the same,
Joe.Markley at cga.ct.gov. But we do have more of these cards here. So let me leave that, and we'll take some. We got 20 minutes. We can talk some politics about it. Incidentally, Rebecca Michelin is my aide. For those of you who have dealt with her before. And I would also ask you to give a hand to Mike Cronin, who's had a tough job with this tonight. Thank you.